Turn on any news channel today, and you'll hear the same relentless drumbeat. We are told again and again that India is an unstoppable economic juggernaut. The promise is that by 2029, we will cross the finish line into a $5 trillion global superpower. But when you step away from the political speeches and look at the actual ledgers from the World Bank and the IMF, a very different picture emerges. These institutions rank countries by per capita income, meaning what the average citizen actually earns. For years, we've been stuck in what economists call the lower middle income trap. It's a stage of development where a country's growth stalls before it can reach high income levels. While nations like Vietnam and the Philippines have broken out of this mud and sprinted into the upper middle income bracket, even neighbors who recently suffered complete financial collapse are passing us by. Sri Lanka, despite its devastating 2022 crisis, has recovered with a per capita income that now outpaces our own. The data shows that India has been sitting in that exact same lower middle income category for 2 decades. We currently rank around 150th globally. Our average income is sitting at just over $2,800, putting us behind Bangladesh. So how exactly can a country be the world's fastest growing major economy while its citizens remain permanently trapped in a lower middle class reality? Are the headlines lying to us, or is there something completely broken in the engine? We've spent a decade hearing about Make in India. The promise was that our domestic manufacturing and startup culture would transform the nation into a global factory floor. This chart shows the Purchasing Managers Index, or PMI, over the last 5 years. It's a metric that tracks whether business activity is expanding or contracting. Right now, it has plummeted to 53.5, marking the lowest level we've seen since the pandemic. A drop this severe means our manufacturing sector is drastically slowing down. New factories aren't opening fast enough, and the industrial momentum required to carry a booming economy simply isn't there. And the foreign money that was supposed to fund this revolution, it's leaving. Over the last 18 months, foreign institutional investors have pulled $45 billion straight out of Indian markets. When you look at genuine, long-term capital, foreign direct investment meant to build physical infrastructure, our net intake has shrunk, while China brings in nearly 10 times our amount. Investors aren't planting roots here. Despite the relentless branding of India as the ultimate investment hub, real capital is fleeing the foundational economy. The domestic growth we are betting our future on is standing on hollow ground. To counter this grim reality, the government points to one favorite metric: record-breaking GST collections. They point to the massive tax hauls as indisputable proof of economic health. But this chart breaks down exactly where those taxes are coming from. When economists split total GST revenue into domestic and import sources, a huge red flag appears. Our internal domestic revenue growth is creeping along at a sluggish 3.27%. The so-called record collections are actually being driven by a 12.8% surge in import revenue. We aren't taxing a booming internal market. The government is balancing its books by slapping taxes on expensive foreign goods brought into the country. Relying this heavily on imports while exports remain stagnant creates intense systemic pressure. It drains our foreign reserves, and it's a primary reason the rupee has crashed from 64 down to 95 against the US dollar over the last decade. To stop the bleeding, the Reserve Bank of India has resorted to quiet panic measures. They've sold off billions in foreign exchange, burned through gold reserves, and even offered zero-tax government bonds to desperately lure foreign dollars back onto our shores. When the foreign money doesn't bite, the state has to sell its own furniture. The government is currently liquidating its shares in the Life Insurance Corporation, hoping to raise 30,000 crores from the open market just to plug a skyrocketing fiscal deficit. By artificially inflating revenue headlines through import taxes and selling off massive public assets, the state is running a masterful cover-up. They are hiding a total lack of genuine domestic production. All this macroeconomic sleight of hand eventually trickles down to the streets. India has fractured into a K-shaped economy. Growth is skyrocketing, but only for an incredibly tiny fraction of the population, while everyone else sinks. Today, the top 1% of our population hoards roughly 23% of the nation's entire wealth. We have returned to a level of extreme financial inequality not seen since the British Raj in 1922. Contrast that private jet reality with the bottom half of the country. 50% of the population is left to scrape by on a collective share of just 15% of the national wealth. For the average citizen, this translates directly into vanishing financial security. Net household savings for Indians have hit a catastrophic 50-year low. People are draining their emergency funds just to survive daily inflation. You can see the cascading failures in real time. Youth employment in critical sectors has collapsed, and major infrastructure projects are seeing their construction abruptly halt as the money dries up. And to squeeze out whatever cash is left, new stealth taxes are coming. The government is introducing UPI transaction charges for large platforms. Companies like Amazon and Zomato won't pay that out of pocket. They will quietly pass those extra costs directly onto your final bill. When savings disappear and jobs evaporate, frustration boils over. The massive student and youth protests we've seen recently aren't an anomaly. They are the early warning tremors of a much wider economic unrest. A functioning democracy requires citizens to look past the noisy political and religious distractions and demand accountability based on hard data. When the national economy is built on a ledger of illusions, fortifying your own personal financial defenses is the only real protection you have left.